Welcome classmates, a blessed day to everyone. We'll have the second discussion today, and the second chapter is all about the RA 9163 or the NSTP Act of 2001. I have mentioned some details regarding of this RA for the previous discussion during the introduction. So let me give you or give the important details and important content of the RA 9163. So let me just proceed on the next slide. So what are the things that we need to know in this chapter? So I'm going to present to you the history of NSTP and a short history of the NSTP and the objectives. Let us go back again and check out the objectives of the NSTP. The coverage, so sino-sino nga ba yung magti-take ng NSTP and sino din yung hindi dapat, or there are some exemptions that will take this NSTP. Okay? And duration of our NSTP. So kailan ino-offer, how many semester, those things that is in line to the duration of the NSTP. What else? Incentives and other important financial assistance, like for example scholarship and other incentives that you need to know in line to the NSTP or the National Service Training Program. Alright, so let us begin. Let's start with the short history of the NSTP. So in 1935, before we have the NSTP or yung RA 9163 or National Service Training Program Act of 2001, in 1935 we have first the National Defense Act. Now this was implemented to mandate the males under 18 to 30 years old to attend or join what we call the military service. So I think it at least 2 years of military service within our country. And so after years later, during the 1980 or in 1980, we come up also with what we call the Presidential Decree 1706 or National Service Law. In this law, mandate the Filipinos to attend or join the civic welfare service as well as the law enforcement service and military service. So if you're going to connect to our existing NSTP or yung National Service Training Program natin, especially when we talk about the three components that I have mentioned last introduction, we have the ROTC, the CWTS, and then LTS. It is actually related or have a similar services during the 1980 in line with the National Service Law. Okay, so after 1980, during 1991, we come up also with the RA 7077 or also known as the Citizens Armed Forces of the Philippines Reservists Act. So this is more on the military training, so it aims to train citizen soldiers. So it is more really to a military training. Yan. And after 10 years, we come up already with the implementation of the RA 9163 or the NSTP Act of 2001. So if you try to look at the components of the NSTP Act of 2000, the NSTP in this present time, it is quite similar to the previous different laws. So our basis on coming up with the implementation, coming up with the RA 9163 or NSTP Act of 2001 is basing from the previous laws or previous act. Okay, so 2002, this was already offered in the different colleges and universities here in our country, and one of the universities is the University of Baguio. And so that is also our basis on why we have this NSTP now during this time. So 2002 pa lang, meron na actually tayong offered na NSTP here in our university. Pag-usapan lang ulit natin yung objective ng NSTP. So it is stated that NSTP promote the role of the youth in nation building. And so the NSTP is encouraging, the youth to become civic organizers, what else, to be a community volunteers or military service, and that can be top during the calamities or during emergencies. And that is why it is also said or stated that the state shall inculcate in the youth the patriotism and nationalism and encourage their involvement in public and civic affairs. Right, so aside from the objective, when we talk about NSTP, NSTP is it means that for student trainees to value this critical role to play in the development of our country, we should know also what we can do as a training service. So the NSTP shall first introduce and inculcate knowledge, values and skills in an attempt to look into oneself, life skills as well as values orientations, and also to present ways and means to improve the youth's understanding of the community, its organization, dynamics, characteristics, and even problems. What else? Facilitate in raising the level of social awareness and community involvement through various initiatives and activities, and also plan and implement worthwhile initiatives and projects to address communal problems and local issues. Okay, so it's really a very good training for everybody or for NSTP students. So we're going to develop your social skills. You're going to be involved also or engaged in the community, so that you will have also a initiative, and then you will be joining various activities that will develop you or to improve or develop your skills on organizing, what else, in helping other people, as in even coming up with plans or proposals to solve a problem, and or maybe suggestions to at least contribute in this how to solve a particular particular issues or problems within our community. Okay, and to that, for you to, or for us to achieve those different things in line to NSTP, then first thing we need to understand about the content of this NSTP. So there is the paradigm of the National Service Training Program. So when we say paradigm, the change of thinking to another, so from NSTP1, there is a paradigm or change going to the NSTP2. Okay, so different content. So let's start with NSTP1. It is actually more on theories or more on concepts that is basically we're going to discuss on this NSTP or in the NSTP1. So in NSTP2, whatever you learn from NSTP1, whatever the important details that you need to whatever the skills or whatever the things that you develop in NSTP1, you're going to apply it in NSTP2. Okay, so more on application yung ating NSTP2. So for example, let's say the topic in NSTP1, which is the citizenship education, which is more on the core values of the Philippines, which is the makadiyos, makatao, makabayan, makakalikasan. And you're going to apply whatever the trainings or whatever the learnings that you accommodated here in this topic in the National Service Training Program 2. Okay, so you will be having a community immersion to implement, let's say, a clean and green program, a nutrition activities, a literacy advocacy, and other projects or other programs that you can actually implement in that particular community. So let's say, for example, also when you learn already what is drug education, you can also share those details or information about drugs in the community, no? So maybe you can teach them, or you can also share the informations regarding drugs. And so whatever you learn from NSTP1, you're going to apply it in NSTP2. Okay, so aside from the paradigm, let's try to let us discuss now, the content of this NSTP Act of 2001. So there are more or less 18 sections of the NSTP Act of 2001. But let me just highlight the important sections, or let me just highlight some sections, but I'm not going to talk all of the sections of the NSTP Act of 2001 or the RA 9163. So let's start with the definition of terms, or we know that this act is known to be the National Service Training Program Act of 2001, and there are definition of terms that we need to remember. So National Service Training Program, or also known as the NSTP, and it aims to promote the civic consciousness, defense preparedness, ethics of service, and patriotism, as well as nationalism. And the other terms that we need to remember, again, let me just present to you the three components of the NSTP. So we have there the Reserve Officers Training Corps, or the ROTC, that is more on military training, and so it will lead now to the National Defense Preparedness. Literacy Training Service, or LTS, that is more on teaching the children about literacy and then numeracy skills. What else? The Civic Welfare Training Service, or the CWTS, is more on general welfare and then betterment of life. That is through enhancement of facilities, also in line to health, education, environment, entrepreneurship, safety, recreation, and morals. Okay, so those are again the three different components of the NSTP. So I have discussed already this one last time, or I mentioned already to you during the introduction. And so those are the different terms that we need to remember when we talk about NSTP. So we have what is the meaning of NSTP, what is ROTC, what is LTS, and what is CWTS. Okay, so the coverage, who are those or who and why we're going to take this NSTP, or kung sino-sino man yung magti-take ng NSTP or kukuha ng NSTP. Is it a requirement, or is this mandated, and so on. Okay, so let's start with the in line with the section number 4 of this NSTP Act of 2001. It is said that males and females of any baccalaureate degrees, so that is 4 or more years degree courses, and also the 2 to 3 years technical vocational courses is mandated, to have, or is mandated to take or undergo with this undergo NSTP. Okay, so it is actually a requirement, and what is one? There are also exemptions, depending on the terms and condition, or that is also based in the NSTP Act of 2001. So in the revised IRR, or also known as the revised implementing rules and regulations, here are the following exemptions. Why is it that there are some students that exempted in this NSTP? So first, students who finish or graduated already and then finish this type of subject, which is the NSTP, then definitely automatically you don't need to take again this subject or the NSTP. What else? Students who completed any of the 3 NSTP components. So you don't need to finish all the 3 components. One component that you finish, or yes, you finish, is already enough. And so you don't need to, let's say for example, you finish ROTC and you want to enroll again CWTS or LTS, that is not already allowed. So if you completed already yung one of any of the 3 components, that is already good, so, or that is already enough. And aside from these students who complete any of the NSTP components, foreign students are also not going to take itong ating NSTP, because NSTP is it is mandated basically to Filipino citizens. And but then when you talk about Filipino or half Filipino and half foreigner, there are also some considerations or terms and condition. And so aside from foreign students, those who are going to have a second courses and graduated during the school year 2003 and 2004, they are already exempted with the NSTP. Same as true today or during this present time. If you finish a first course and then you finish already the NSTP and then you will take up another course, you don't need to take again the NSTP, because you finish already in your first course. And aside from that, second coursers, we for the transferees who completed any of the NSTP components are already exempted, or you don't need to take again the NSTP. And now for the Filipino to foreign students, so Filipino foreign students who are admitted and then enrolled and have paid the $500 or US dollars foreign admission fee as certified by the Admission and Record Center or the ARC are to be given certificate of exemption, and so they don't need to take already the NSTP. However, Filipino foreigner students who were originally enrolled as Filipino or Filipino students but avertedly converted to foreign student, then they're just going to avail the exemption, and whose names do not appear in the list as certified by the ARC, then they are required actually to take the NSTP or attend yung ating NSTP. So as if you are a Filipino or you are a Filipino foreign student, you need to declare also that you are a foreigner student. But if you don't declare, then you will going to attend or you are required to attend or take yung ating NSTP. Okay. So those are some exemptions. Why is it that if you are wondering why some of the students don't have this kind of subject or they did not take yung ating NSTP. Okay? And duration. When you talk about duration, we know that the NSTP is actually a 3 units subject, so it actually going to take up for at least 2 semesters, so 2 semesters, that is 1 year. And for during the regular semesters, first semester usually na-offer yung ating NSTP program 1, and second semester, that is where NSTP program 2 is offered. And there are some cases also that during summer classes, we offer also yung ating NSTP. However, if there will be enough number of students and if there will be available teacher that are going to teach this type of subject. And so that is some of the some considerations or maybe terms and conditions when you talk about summer class. And but University of Baguio is also offering NSTP program 1 during summer classes, but again it will still depends on the number of students. What else? Cross enrollment. I don't know if you have heard about cross enrollment. There are some students who did not finish yung ating NSTP, and it so happened that it's required for them to finish the NSTP before graduation, and so happened also that it's not offered already during that semester. All they need to do is that they need to enroll in the other university. That is what we call the cross enrollment. Okay, so that is actually allowed. So higher education institutions are allowed, or under CHED is allowed to have this cross enrollment. But again, it will also follow yung terms and condition or guidelines in that particular university. Okay, so we do have what we call yung cross enrollment, right? And since you are talking already with higher education institutions, the state universities, and colleges, or what we call the SUCs, are mandated to offer yung ating ROTC. But for the private higher education institution, just like our university or just like UB, has the option not to defer or offer or will not offer the ROTC. Okay? Although if you try to observe the University of Baguio, since we have yung program na criminology, I think we were going to offer no, yung ROTC. Yan. But there are also some conditions no in a in a particular institution. Let's say for example, ito NSTP offering the higher and technical vocational education institutions, or yung ating test, what we call this one, all higher and technical vocational institutions, public and private, must offer at least one program components. So either at least meron tayong LTS or meron tayong CWTS or meron tayong offered na ROTC. So that is actually a requirement no, for the higher education institutions as well as yung ating. So state universities and colleges shall offer no yung ating ROTC component and at least one other component as provided herein. So pwedeng dalawang components lang yung i-offer actually ng SUCs, no? So pwedeng ROTC plus LTS or ROTC plus CWTS, or pwede naman na yung 3 different components. So pwedeng ROTC, CWTS at saka LTS. And for private higher education institutions like for example UB can also offer the ROTC if they have at least 350 cadet students. So this is the condition already, no? Since ang private institutions or yung private higher education institutions have the option to either offer ROTC or not, that there is a condition na we need to achieve yung 350 students who will take up yung ating ROTC component. So that's the time that we're going to offer yung ating ROTC. Since we are talking about the higher education institutions and then yung ating SUC and even yung technical vocational education institutions, those institutions are under CHED and then under TESDA. And most of the time, aside from the other officers that is accredited to give trainings, and most of the time ang CHED actually at saka TESDA ang nagbibigay ng trainings and then seminars. So let's say for example under CHED, no, yung higher education institutions naman is under CHED. So UB itself can actually give trainings and seminars as well, as long as there are some trainers that is qualified and have a NSTP certificate and they are allowed or qualified to train our NSTP students. Same as true with TESDA. So those are the cases when you talk about CHED and then TESDA. So there are incentives as well that you need to know, or you need to at least be aware, know that when you talk about NSTP, there are incentive also in other financial assistance. So number one there is insurance. So we have mentioned that during NSTP program 2, you are going to have your community immersion. So what if something will happen to you, let's say accidents, that's the time that we have actually yung ating insurance, and that's the good thing. But then this insurance, it will be included to the miscellaneous fee, and that's still good as long as it will be used, so in case na magkaroon ng accidents or unexpected events that will harm you, then definitely you can use actually yung ating insurance. And aside from insurance, we have also offered scholarship that is from the CHED or TESDA. Okay, so they are also offering, what we call this one, they are also offering a scholarship. Okay, and we need to remember that if you finish already or if you are a graduate of the NSTP, you will become what we call a reservist. So this is the main goal of the NSTP, and to train students to become a reservist. So because we are going to be tapped during calamities or during emergency cases, by our own community or by the community we are involved, so that is actually a very good way. At least we are already prepared during these calamities or during these emergency cases. And there are some conditions also if you're a graduate of ROTC or graduate of LTS and CWTS. So if you're a graduate of ROTC, automatic, no, you will be a member of what we call the Armed Forces of the Philippines Reservist Corps. And if you are a graduate of LTS and CWTS, you will be a member or part of the National Service Reserve Corps. And we mentioned or we discussed already the NSRC during the introduction. Yan, so at least we already mentioned during this time the ROTC. And this is based again, no, in the RA 7077. Yan, kaya tinawag na AFP or Armed Forces of the Philippines Reservist Corps. And nakabase pa rin ito sa RA 7077. Alright, so that's it, no, when you talk about the NSTP or the NSTP Act of 2001. And other details, you can actually read our module, no, and if you do have a questions or clarifications, just send your questions or concerns in our group chat, or maybe you can send also in our Canvas. Now, let me highlight this quotation, no, or statement, yes, quotation by Jeff Warner. According to him, we are not put on this earth for ourselves, but are placed here for each other. If you are there always for others, then in time of need, someone will be there for you. Okay, so who knows, no? We are helping even in our simple act of helping. We don't know that sometimes unexpected events, they are also the ones who are helping us. So yun yung point, no, ni Jeff Warner. But that is also the point, no, of the NSTP. So we are trained in NSTP. Whatever we have learned, whatever skills that we have developed at the time that we are already in our own community, at the time that we are also facing this real emergencies or real calamities, we know what to do, and we can also help our friends, our classmates, our relatives, because we know what we are doing since we are a graduate of the NSTP. Okay, and hoping that as we go on to our discussion in this NSTP, we will learn more and we can develop your different skills, no, that you can actually use, that you can apply in your personal life, as well as to be used, no, during calamities or during emergencies, not only in your own home, not only on your own community, but also in the national level. Okay? So that's it, my dear classmate. No? That is all about the National Service Training Program Act of 2001. So thank you so much for joining me this discussion, and so stay safe, my dear classmates, and then enjoy the rest of the day, and God bless everyone. I'll see you on the next chapter.